they chose death rather than they refused unclean food. They stood firm. The Damascus doctrine is going to say stand firm all the time. And they were executed. It was a dreadful wrath, that's the Daniel thing, visited upon Israel. So this basically fits in with what we've heard. Now we get the uprising. 2. In those days, Mattathias, son of John, son of Simeon, notice the Christian names here, John, Simon, and so on. Names, I mean, that we hear in Christian scripture all of the time. Matthew. If the early Christians weren't happy about the Maccabean movement, why were they using so many Maccabean names? You know, they're all using these Maccabean names. Judas, Matthew, John, Simon, and so on. That's almost all the names you always hear. Also Miriam. Miriam is the beloved Maccabean princess whom Herod kills. Forced her to marry him, it's in Josephus, and then he executes her and her children and the children he had by her, because the crowd preferred them to him because they preferred the Maccabeans to the Herodians. Let me just get this if I can here. You want to go home soon? Anyway, so when he saw the blasphemies be committed in Judah and Jerusalem, this Maccabeus, this Matthias, who had 5 sons, Simon, Judas, called Maccabeus, Eleazar, that's Lazarus, and so on. He cried, that is Matthias, alas, that I have witnessed these things, the temple in ruins, the vessels carried off, etc. Everything snatched from her, her former freedom, now slavery. See, freedom and slavery different there than in Galatians. Freedom was previously observing the law, now slavery is not observing. So Matthias tore his garments. The king's messengers came to the place that he was located, Modi'in. Line 16, M-O-D-E-I-N. It's down at where the hills start coming up from the coastal plain in Palestine. You know, it's just as the hills begin. You can go to the Maccabean tombs there in Modi'in even today. You can see them. That's where the family was buried, supposedly. So this king's messenger came to there, and Matthias, he wants people to be reckoned as friends of the king and get presents from the king. And Matthias is quoted here, even if every nation living in the king's dominion obeys him, forsaking his ancestral religion to conform to his degree, I, my sons, and my brothers will still follow the covenant of our ancestors. There it is. In the scrolls, it's the covenant of the first. The New Testament, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. In the scrolls, the covenant of the ancestors is the covenant of the first. The Brit Harishanim, in case you're following the Hebrew. So, so when the king, we will not forsake the law and observances. We will follow them. We will not swerve from either to the right or to the left. Well, that's in the Dead Sea Scrolls over and over again. Not swerving from the right to the left. I can show it to you in 3 or 4 different documents. The actual language there. So then he was fired with zeal. First mention of zeal. First beginning of what we call the Zealot movement. This is the beginning of the Zealot movement.
What chapter are you on?
I'm in chapter 2, line 24. One of the king's messengers, I don't know if this is real or imaginary, slaughters him on the altar, this messenger who was going to enforce this sacrifice of a pig or something. And in his zeal for the law, repeated in 26, he acted as Phinehas did against Zimri, son of Saul. Then Mattathias went through the town, shouting at the top of his voice, let everyone who has zeal for the law and takes his stand on the covenant come out and follow me. Then he fled with his sons into the hills, leaving all their possessions in the town. Okay, now look. What did Phinehas get for his zeal for the law? Do you remember? It's Numbers 25:6, I think. In any case, I'm not going to go there. What did he get? Because I'm not recommending this behavior. I'm just giving you the mindset. We are in Mecca almost here. Okay? I don't think we're quite in Bin Laden land, but we're in Mecca anyway. Mecca owes a lot to this movement. They don't know that, but they don't want me to. They don't listen to me about telling them that, but you know, they don't know very much about the origins of their movement. Never mind. Don't want them to behead me like Salman Rushdie or somebody. I'll just keep quiet here. Who's that journalist that they got? What's his name? The one they're always having concerts in his name and everything from Los Angeles here. The one they made a movie about. Yeah, that one. I don't want to get in his situation, but yeah, I wouldn't be out in Pakistan doing what he was doing, frankly. Anyway, Phineas, they were intermarrying with outsiders, and Phineas slew the people who were doing that in the camp. And then Number says, in return for his zeal for God, Phineas received the covenant of the high priesthood in perpetuity. Phineas was the grandson, supposedly, of Aaron. Because Aaron, Eleazar, Phineas. Out of zeal for the law, so now we are getting a claim for the zealot priesthood of the Maccabeans. Now, if you think this is usurpation of the high priesthood, I think you're wrong. The Maccabean books are telling us why the Maccabean priesthood is legitimate. Not only is it legitimate because they have the zeal of Phineas, but it's legitimate because they're from the first priestly course, Yoyarib. Remember when he was introduced, it said in 2:1, from the course of Yoyarib. You say, what are the courses? There were 24 priestly courses. I'm trying to jam a lot in here. I apologize for not taking questions. There's just so much to try to crush in here. We'll try to slow down, but we're just so far behind here. 24 priestly courses are in the book of Chronicles. And I think because of 24 hours in a day, each course had a certain hour in the temple, take care of things, clean up, sacrifice, do whatever needed to be done. And the first principal one is Yoyarib. So the Maccabeans, it was Frank Moore Cross at Harvard who first made the claim, and everyone then ran in and fell behind him. Princeton, Harvard, Oxford, the whole place. You know, that still goes on today. Cross is emeritus at Harvard, but he's still around.